Okay, now we've got our first selector pretty down pat, and we can continue and look at the first thing we have to do is selector number 2. So in order to cut into selector 2, we have to dial 22. So I'll dial 22. I've cut in 2 1 1. Also a connector switch. Now, it's very likely that everything on here is a connector switch. So what I'm going to do is stop the tape, finish the jamming, and I'll tell you whether I got anything besides connector switches. Okay, I checked and everything on that 2 selector is a connector switch. In other words, on the 2 level is the 349 2000 group. So it's entirely full of every 100 group is assigned in every 2. 1 through 20. Alright, the next thing is 3, which I suspect will be as boring. The first thing I dialed that time was 3, which was a waste of time. But I've dialed 2 now, so I can dial 3 now and cut in. So I dialed 3, 2, 3. The first 3 was unnecessary. Now I'll dial 2, 1, 1. And that was like another connector switch, so I'm going to stop the tape, and if I find anything other than connector switches, I'll tell you. Okay, I've checked and I found that everything on the 3 selector is also a connector group, so that 3 selector is the 349 3000 group, and only that.
If you're mapping along with this tape, under S2 and under S3, every space should now have a C written there because there is a connector switch on every level.
Okay, the thing to do now is the 4 selector, which cuts right in if you dial it. Now, this office is arranged so that customers can dial either 9 plus the last 4 digits for 349 numbers, and if you look at the first selector, you'll see how that's done. Suppose you were going to dial 7 digits. 349 plus the last 4 digits. Well, if you dial 3, 4, the 9 would be going into selector 4, and when you get to 349 numbers, you'd be going a different route entirely. So, keep this in mind when we map out the 4 selector. Alright, we know that on 4-1 is...
Oh, directory assistance.
Okay, dialing 4, cuts into selector 4, and now dialing 2. And I will predict that this will be blocked. And I'm right. Okay, now as soon as we find an A digit on the selector 4, which we haven't found yet, so we can't find out what's on this level, we'll find out what's on the 2 level. Alright, dialing 4, and 3, which will also be blocked, I predict. I've never done this before, but if you look at it, you may see why I know these are going to be blocked. Now dialing 4, 4, I don't know what this is going to be. It could be either intercept or maybe a special thing. Okay, it sounds like ringback, because I dialed 4, 4. 4 cut in, 4 cut in. 1 was silent, and then 1 again made a sort of a ka-clunk. So I'm going to try it again. 4, 4, 9. but it's still there. It's ring back. For some reason, it won't ring my bell here. I don't know why that is, but I'll try dialing 448 now. Okay, so I can't make my bell here ring, but 44 plus one digit, it's one of those four-party line ringbacks. So 4 on the 4 selector is ringback. Now hang up.
In retrospect, it's easy to understand why my phone didn't ring when I used the ringback circuit that way. A 4-party line ringback circuit is designed to give one of 8 different ringing possibilities depending upon which digit you dial. First, I tried dialing the digit 9, which delivers double ring on the tip side of the line. Then I tried dialing the digit 8, which delivers double ring on the ring side of the line. And that's why it didn't work, because in this office they didn't even hook up the double ring. This is the only Bell System old CDO I've seen that has no provision for double ring. I'm not saying there weren't a lot of those, but it's the only one I really got to intimately know that had no double ring at all. And thus, with the double ring not even in use, they didn't even bother to hook it up to the ringback circuit. So it held my line, but there was no ring supply. Had I dialed 447 or 446, my phone would have rung. In our mapping, we now have on Selector 4 the 2 and the 3 marked B, comma. We don't yet know what's on those levels, although it's pretty clear what it's going to turn out to be. And 4-4 is ringback.
Dialing 4. Now 5 on the 4 level, I'm sure is either intercept or something special.
Special operator, what number did you dial?
So it's intercept. Because, of course, there's nothing that we'd need on that level anyway. There are no 3495 numbers, so we'll mark that down, 45, as intercept. Again, with 4-6, I don't know what it's going to be. Four six is blocked. So, this tells me something. It tells me that probably there are 3496 numbers. Probably. Okay, hang up. Okay, this will be blocked. 4-7 is blocked. Now 4-8 is going to be, I would guess, it would cut into a chunk to the 487 office, which is in the local calling area. The other exchange we haven't even heard yet, so we'll see. Again, disgusting T-carrier. Now I'll dial 7. So, oh really? That's interesting. Let me try that again. 4, 8, 7. Oh. 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 Okay, it's a Crossbar 5 office. Awfully noisy pulse repeaters on the trunk, too. So 4-8 is the 487, and it expects expects you to dial 7 plus 4 digits into its trunks. Now I'll dial a wrong steering digit into it. Now I've dialed 481, now I'm going to dial 0000. Okay, maybe it's trying to give me a reorder. Whatever it is, 1 plus 4 digits into those trunks will give you whatever that is. I'll just try dialing 482. 1111. Does the same thing, so that must be what it does on vacant steering digits. Okay, now we're going to see how they have 9 wired on the 4 selector, and it should be wired A. 4 cuts in, 9 is absorbed. Dial 9 again. We cut into something. And 1 will probably go to intercept. It does. Same nice N1 carrier.
Special operator, what number did you dial? Hello? Hello?
Okay.
9 on selector 4 is absorbed once, and then goes to another selector. There's a very good chance that this other selector is the same selector that we got on the first selector when we dialed 99. But let's just wait until we actually get something besides a vacant level there to make sure it isn't different. So for now, for 9 on selector 4, write A, S, and then we'll fill it in later because it's probably going to turn out to just be S9. But I'll say something when we know that. 4-5 was vacant. 4-6 and 4-7 should say B, 4-8 is Provincetown. 4-8-7, Crossbar 5.
Now let me just dial 40. Alright. Let me dial something that's silent, like just 4.
40 went to intercept, and we just happened to get a trunk that wasn't working properly.
Okay, we just dial 4. Now, I said before, this office is arranged so that customers can dial 9 plus 4 digits, or 349 plus 4 digits.
The reason I'm making such a big deal on this tape about the fact that you can either dial 9 plus the last 4 digits or 349 plus the last 4 digits is that in this office it takes a different route depending upon which one you dial. Now, most small steps where you can omit the first few digits are not like this.
If you look at the first selector, you'll see that there are selectors 2, 3, and 7 on it. Now, we found connector groups in those. Also, there may be 349 9 numbers. I'll have to find this out later. I also know now that there are 3496 numbers because I'm calling from one right now. This is a different phone here. So, notice that those are on the first selector so that customers can dial 9 plus the last 4 digits. 9 will be absorbed once, and then the 2, 3, 6, or 7, or 9, if there is such a thing, will cut in on the next one and you'll be on the 1000 group, no problem. Now, if you look at selector 4, you'll see that 2, 3, 6, and 7 are blocked. Suppose you're dialing 349. 3 will absorb repeatedly. 4 will cut into selector 4. 9 will absorb once in selector 4. And then, once again, 2, 3, 6, 7, or 9, if there is such a thing. You won't find 4, 5 with anything. And the reason is that if you look at the first selector, the 255 office is there. So you can't have 3495 numbers anyway. So on Selector 4, of course, the 5 level is vacant. The 2 level on Selector 4, we don't have anything down yet, except that it's blocked. So I'll dial 4, 9, 2. See, now we've cut in 1, 9, 9. Okay. So 2 on the 4 selector cuts in to the selector 2, which we've already mapped out. And of course, it's the 349 2000 group, which has every 100 group in use. Okay, so on Selector 4 we mark the 2 level as B and Selector 2. So you see, you can get to Selector 2 either directly or through Selector 4, depending on whether you dial, well, if you're a customer, depending on whether you dial 9 or 349. We're only dialing 49, just to save time. Okay, I've dialed 49, now 3. 1, 9, 9. And again, Selector 3 can be reached directly or through Selector 4.
Under 4.3 it should now say B, comma, S3, because we just got a local busy signal there, so that's the 349 3000 group. Of course it would have to be, because the dialing sequence would put you there.
Okay, now we'll do 6 on the Selector 4. Now, how can we prove that this Selector 6 that we'd be getting through Selector 4 is the same one as we'd be getting through the first selector, or the same group, that is? Well, look what we found on Selector 6 so far, is repair service. Now, why would a customer want to get repair service by dialing 34961? I'll start over and we'll demonstrate that even though it's unnecessary, you can get repair service by dialing 34961. In this case, it is significant. That is, that you're ending up in the same place, but you are going a different way. It's not as if the 349 didn't do anything. 3, 4, 9, 6, 1.
Good morning, telephone repair service.
On Selector 4, 6 is B, comma, S6, and S6 is the same selector group that we got on the first selector by just dialing a 6. To finish out Selector 4, 7 turned out to be B, comma, S7, same selector group as we got on 7 on the first selector, and that has 349 7000 numbers in it. Now, we did find a selector on the 9 level of S4, and that probably is going to turn out to be S9, but at this point, since all we have found is a vacant level, let's not assume that, so we'll just leave it as it is, and go on to mapping the next selector group, S6.
Now to get Selector 6, I can either dial 496 or 6. I think I'd rather dial 6. Dialed 6-2. 9. 9 is the connector switch. 9-9 is the busy test. Now, I'm going to stop the tape. I found that everything on Selector 6 is a connector switch except for one, which is repair service. So the next thing to do is Selector 7, which probably will be just as boring. Now we know that 7-1 is a connector. I'll check out 7-2 now. Now to get on Selector 7, I have to dial 97 or 27. It doesn't matter, they're both A digits. See, for 6 is wired to cut in immediately because of 611. But for 7, I have to dial an A digit first. And then, of course, to get it via Selector 4, I'd have to dial 497. So I think I'll just dial 27. It's the fastest way. I dialed 27, now 299. Okay, it turns out that everything on the 7 selector is a connector switch. So that's the 7000 group, and that's all it is. Now the only thing left to check out is selector number 9, which we can get into by dialing 2999 or 499. So we'll check out the 92 to see if there's a connector group or interceptor, whatever there, and I'll dial it as a normal customer. Dialing 3, 4, 9, 9, 2. Sounds like a connector switch. Now dialing 22.
I'm sorry. The number you have reached is not in service at this time. If you need assistance, please stay on the line and an operator will answer. This is a recording. What number are you calling?
Okay, we know that on 9-2 is a connector switch and that 2-2 on that connector switch is a vacant number. Now we'll see what's on 9-3. Have to dial an A digit first to get in, so I'll dial 2, 9-3. Must be a connector switch dialing 2-2. Seems that this one doesn't,
I'm sorry. The number you have reached is not in service at this time. If you need assistance...
Okay, chances are the only thing left on the 9s is more connector groups and more vacant levels, so I'll stop the tape and I'll tell you what I got.
Now that we have actually found connector switches on S9, we can safely assume that there is, or will soon be, a 349-9000 group. And knowing that, we can assume that on selector 4, 9 is A, S9. In other words, if you dial 499, you get the same 349-9000 group as when you just dial 99. That's a very safe assumption. Now the results of the selector 9, Jan.
There are mainly vacant levels, and I'll dial one of them, 9-8, and I have to dial an A digit first, so I'll be dialing 298.
May I please have the number you're dialing?
So, here's how it went. Connector groups are on 9-2, 9-3, 9-4, and 9-0. And everything else is operator intercept. So, we now have all the selectors mapped, and of course there are no selectors in other offices to deal with because the other local offices are Crossbar 5.
There's a connector switch on 9-2, 9-3, 9-4, and 9-0, so those should be marked C, and everything else is a vacant level. So we've been through all the selector groups now, and As you can see, the phone company can't hide anything in step, at least not in the originating switching train. The bad news is that in the case of Welfleet, they didn't have anything to hide except the ringback circuit, which we found on 4.4. Looking at this overall switching train, as I've said several times, it's very odd that the intra-office call takes a different route if you dial the last 5 digits versus all 7. It's a pretty safe bet that it didn't used to be this way. If you can imagine a time when 411 was not the code for directory assistance, and there certainly was such a time, in such a scenario, the digit 4, instead of cutting into a second selector, could have been wired just to absorb repeatedly. In that case, when you dialed the prefix 349, the 3 and the 4 would do nothing. The 9 would absorb once, which would mean that the next digit would cut in. And in that scenario, it wouldn't make any difference whether you dialed just 9 plus the last 4 digits or 349 and the last 4 digits. In this scenario, the Provincetown trunks that you would get if you were dialing Provincetown 487 could have been on the 8 level of the first selector. It's vacant now, so it might have been where the Provincetown trunks used to be. You would dial 4, which would do nothing, and then the 8 would go into Provincetown. And so that whole S4, the second selector on the 4 level, was totally unnecessary in the past, I'd be willing to bet. Now, ringback we found on 4.4. Well, they could have put ringback anywhere. So it looks to me that 411 might have been the reason that S4 was required in the first place. Staying with my very reasonable theory that there didn't used to be an S4 for a moment, another possible reason that there is an S4 now could be that they're planning to expand this office, adding 1,000 groups that wouldn't fit on the first selector. In this scenario, they would eliminate 5-digit dialing for intra-office calls, so customers would be told they have to dial all 7 digits now. Once that was established, they could assign 1,000 groups in 349 that weren't possible to assign before, such as the 5,000 group. Right now there cannot be a 349 5,000 group because the Orleans trunks are on the 5 level of the first selector. And as you can see, if a customer were to dial 9 plus 5, they would end up on the Orleans trunk. 9-5 is the same as 2-5. But if you make customers dial 7 digits, then you can build a 349 5,000 group because there's room for that on Selector 4. So you could also have an 0,000 group. That's actually been done in small Bell System CDOs, though it's relatively rare. The strangest mystery here is I can't figure out why the 349 9,000 group appears to be new and under construction. You would think they would have had a 9,000 group from the start for the benefit of payphones, yet the payphones we've found are in the 3 and the 6,000 group. One insight that comes to mind right away is this. The repair service trunks are right in the middle of the 349 6,000 group. And so what I would want to try is dialing 34961 something from some outside place to see if you could get Welfleet's repair service that way. Well, I tried that from Provincetown, and here's a call recorded from the Provincetown 487 Crossbar 5.
Next, I'll dial 349-6111.
Good evening, telephone repair service.
You know, whenever you see an outgoing trunk group, in this case repair service, in the place of a 100 group of an office, that is often a very good sign that that outgoing trunk can be accessed by the outside. And what that can lead to is stacking. Now, all this did was allow us to get Welfleet's repair service from the outside, so interesting but not a big deal. However, there were some cases in Vermont where you could use one office as an unintended tandem to reach another, because they put outgoing trunks side by side with 100 groups of one of the offices. When calling intercept numbers in Provincetown, failure was very common, and it seemed that certain numbers failed and others tended to work. From Provincetown itself, 2368 failed and 2369 worked. However, when I called into Provincetown from Welfleet, I got the exact opposite result.
Calling 487-2369. 4 will cut into Selector 4 here. 8 will go to the 487 trunk. Again, disgusting T-carrier. 72369 I'll now dial. I recently visited the 487 office. Definitely the worst Crossbar 5 office I've ever been at because it has a way of not knowing what to do. Now, what just happened just now is an example. I'll try it again. Doesn't know what to do. Now I'll try 2368. Oh, that's interesting.
I'm sorry. The number you have reached is not in service at this time. If you need assistance, please stay on the line and an operator will answer. This is a recording.
What number are you calling,
Dialing
please?
from 487, 2369 works, and 2368 does what you heard 2369 do now. And calling from here, of course, it's the other way around,
Well,
which is completely crazy, and apparently this office has separate intercept numbers, which you only get the benefit of the recording depending on where you're calling from.
you want to speak to the supervisor?
You are getting a preview of a group bell tape. It hasn't even been finished yet. Now, aren't you happy?
That's made my day.
Bye-bye.
Really fine. Thank you. Bye.
Ah, the blissful ignorance of teenage arrogance. You think you're being cute. Meanwhile, you're really being a jerk, and half the time, thank God, the person you'd otherwise be blindly abusing doesn't take it personally and laughs anyway.
Bye.
Now, as an added bonus, here are some Crossbar 5 screw-ups as dialed from the Provincetown Crossbar 5. The reason I said the Provincetown Crossbar 5 didn't know what to do was because it would quite often put local calls through for free.
I dialed 487-9900 and it returned my dime.
Hello?
Hello?
Hey.
Is this the telephone company?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I must have got you by mistake then.
Yes, I think so. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. For free yet?
Give dead silence where intercept was needed.
Now I'll dial 487-2368. I don't believe that that's a balance test, do you?
And it connected callers who didn't dial a complete number to the O operator instead of permanent signal or recording.
Can I help you?
May you help me?
Yes.
Is this regular O operator?
Oh, yeah, I guess I am a regular hello operator.
It's, as far as you're concerned, I just dialed 0, right?
Right.
Okay, that was an accident.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
Then when you did get the permanent signal trunk, it would connect it to you for an instant and then disconnect you.
Since when do you handle partial dial with O operator? I mean, really? What the hell was that?
The Provincetown office added ring to the trunks to Hyannis Directory Assistance, even though Hyannis already had a ring of its own.
Selector 15.
You might have noticed that on that trunk while it was ringing, you heard 2 rings. One was from this office and one was from Hyannis. Apparently, both offices saw fit to put ring on the trunk, even though it's only necessary for one to do it.
But on the bright side, it was able to give a good busy signal. In any case, it's not a very good tape, except for that part you just heard. What's next are some long-distance calls from Welfleet payphones and then from a home phone.